I've been tournament fishing and fishing on television for well over 30 years now. And one of the long-time favorite stops on tour for me has been the lake you see just in the background. It's got white perch, as they call them here, or crappie. It's got bass, catfish, and several other species. We're going to give it a little visit on this week's episode, see what we can catch, show you around one of my favorites south of Shreveport, Louisiana. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hey everybody, glad to have you along today. We have just rolled into one of my favorite little fishing spots in northwestern Louisiana. We came right through Shreveport where all the casinos and all the fun and the action is. And about a half hour from there is Lake Bistineau. Lake Bistineau is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and it is a great fishing lake. It's got crappie and bass galore in it. We've got the Bass Tracker Pro Team 195 TXW rigged up and ready to go here. We've got the Mercury 4-stroke 115. I love this engine. It's really quiet, fuel efficient. And as you can see right here in the background, this is Lake Bistineau. It's loaded with hundreds of square miles of cypress trees, grass, lily pads, aquatic vegetation of all kinds. In fact, they've got a little bit of a problem here with invasive grass species like the giant salvinia. They're trying to get rid of that, but it's got a lot of fish in it. It's been one of my favorite lakes to come to for a long time. While we're out doing some crappie and bass fishing today, we're going to take you around your local region for your saltwater and freshwater fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters. Hey, let's get the Tracker Pro Team 195 launched in the lake and get things started. Let's get you back to the FSN studios to get it started with your weekend planner.
According to the Salooner tables, Sunday is predicted to have excellent game fish activity with the peak times beginning at 12:09 a.m. and 12:31 p.m. Expect the sun to rise at 7:06 and set at 7:52. And we're approaching a full moon early next week, so evenings will be fairly bright. We'll be right back with all of the current fishing reports from around the area. And I'll return on the Ask the Pro with 2016 Bassmaster Classic champion, Edwin Evers. Back in a bit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than a boat, it's a tracker. Mercury Marine, go boldly. Lowrance Electronics, celebrating 60 years of fish finding excellence. Find, navigate, dominate. And Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there.
Be a Bistineau crappie right here. Yeah, oh, black looking. There, I got one. All right. Be a Bistineau crappie right here. Yeah. Oh, black looking one. All right. Well, we got to start. Hey, everybody. We've made it out on Bistineau, and oh, dark green looking sockeye right there. White perch, they call them here. A little crappie jig right there, little Bobby Garland. Not going to keep them today. We're a long ways from home, and I didn't even bring my fillet knife, which if any of these folks around here see me throwing these crappie back, I'm going to be in big trouble. Well, let me tell you what I've done to start with. I've got my spread out, I've got my rod holders out, and I've got some spider rig poles out, some long rods. In fact, we can pan around here and show real quick, but show these rods that are out. We've got 14 and 11 foot long rods out, 4 of them. And I'm just actually drifting along the edge of the river channel here, and the crappie will actually spawn in those trees, up around the bases of them and up in the cypress knees, up around the edges of those. When they're done spawning, they come right back to the channel. So I'm actually fishing out here for post-spawn fish that have already moved up, spawned, and moved back to the channel. We're late this year, the fish spawned early. So I'm actually fishing out here in about 15 to 17 feet of water, something like that. I do want to show you this salvinia stuff, but you can see these big mats of this giant salvinia floating around here. It's an invasive species that was introduced, and it just chokes out everything, makes the fishing miserable, makes the boating miserable. Just all the recreational stuff just goes away when you get that much of that stuff. So they're trying their very best to control it around here with a lot of spray and trying to kill it as best they can. Okay, we've got to start. We've got a crappie in the boat at Lake Bistineau, and you get fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hey friends, Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Outdoor Fishing Report. I tell you what, while Captain Kevin and Captain Carlos is out there, they're snarching and yanking both redfish and trout this morning. Matter of fact, Carlos already had a limit of speckled trout early this morning, caught them all on plastics and Rockport Rattler jig heads. I tell you what, salt water's been hot, but let's talk about some fresh water for a change. Up at Toledo Bend right now, lots of white perch being caught. I'm telling you, we were there just a few days ago. We were watching all these people. They were what they call strolling. They just dragging the little beetle spins and little flea flies and little small tiny baits behind the boat, and they were filling up. Talked to one angler at the landing, said that during the month of March he's already caught over 300 white perch, or crappie as a lot of people call them. That's on Toledo Bend. Here closer to home, let's talk about the rivers. Calcasieu River finally starting to clear up a little bit. Few bass were showing up this past week, but I tell you what, the hot story seems to be the Sabine River. Lots of bass being caught on Sabine River, and it doesn't matter what. Talked to some guys throwing a new Bill Lewis bait called the Echo. It's a crankbait, and they were catching lots of bass. Matter of fact, they said they threw back about 40 that morning. They were also catching a few on a single spin spinnerbait white skirt. Fishing's hot right now, friends. You need to come down here to Louisiana. Like we always say at the Cajun Paradise Lodge and Charters, come and get you some.
We've got some crappie going right there for you. There's a little light color one right there. There's one. All right, come up here, buddy. Oh, and he dropped off right in the floor. Well, we're not catching any big ones today, but we've got some crappie going right there for you. There's a little light color one right there. It's kind of interesting what we're doing right now. We're still kind of fishing down these little cuts and canals and channels along the outside of these cypress trees. And I tell you, these people really do. I hear a lot of complaints about the giant salvinia, but you really got to work around it here if you're going to come fish here. So what I've got is I've got my long Wally Marshall Signature Series Lew's rod, and I'm actually kind of flipping along this edge of this channel, but I'm having to flip in between all that floating green salvinia. I tell you, if you've not been to Bistineau, it's worth your trip just to see this place. There's a great state park here, lots of access to the lake, but you do need a great piece of electronics, a good GPS, in order to not get lost on this place, because you absolutely can. I've got my screen set up where I can lay down a trail so that I can retrace my steps to get back where I started back at Port of Bistineau. But it's a lot of fun and really just an experience to be at this place. Let's get you some fishing and lake reports from your local area.
Well, some parts of Oklahoma were lucky enough to have had some rain in recent days, and if you're fishing one of those bodies of water that is coming up as a result of that, you can go to the back of some of those creeks that have had runoff, catch those bass in those shallow grass lines, toss in some soft plastics, or throw in a spinnerbait. One of the most consistent bass spots in the state over the last few weeks has been Skytook Lake here close to Tulsa. Bass fishing has been really good. The back third of the creeks, fishing the transition areas, throwing a biffle bug on a hardhead. Now, one of the best combinations for that has been the new threadfin shad color in that biffle bug. And what this is, you've got that bug that has that dark back, that pearl belly on it, and then you're fishing it on that hardhead. Basically what that does is give you a soft plastic weedless crankbait, and that's why it is so effective. When that thing is ricocheting and bouncing off of rock and trash along the bottom, you got those legs kicking, that tail is shaking, and it really entices those strikes for those bass. Why bass activity? A lot of fish are still being caught by trolling out in front of those spawning areas that are near the back of those creeks, and some fish are being caught in the very backs on rooster tails and also grubs with an action tail. A really good option for that is the Bobby Garland stroller and any of the shad variations. hadn't quite warmed up as much as we want it to be right now, but it's going to happen soon. You need to be fishing because you can't catch them if you don't go.
Put a marker buoy out here, marking a little piece of brush. Got him right there, right by the marker buoy. Look at this. Not very big, I don't think, but I had a crappie nonetheless. All right. Well, I tell you, the crappie fishing is tough today. That stuff right there, that giant salvinia, makes it even tougher than it already is. That would probably be maybe barely a keeper. Look right there. Put that marker buoy out because I was just trolling along here, and what I'm down to doing basically is just going down the edge using my Lowrance Elite TI 9 units and just watching for any little piece of brush. You can actually see it coming into the right side of the screen right there. And you can see it's a really good solid mass. And I put my marker buoy on it, drop it straight down in the top of it, and I'm actually watching my jig go down. In fact, I'll drop my jig in here and you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that jig, see it diagonally coming across the screen there, and I'm stopping it right at the top of the brush. And that seems to be where the fish are hitting it. Okay, got a few fish working, nothing big, but little action today at Lake Bistineau. Stay with us, we're coming back after this.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Jean LaRue Bass Baits and Bobby Garland Crappie Baits, the leaders in soft plastic lures innovation. And Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Nope, that one's on brush, but that one's not. That's a good crappie right there. All right, crappie and a bunch of slop. Oh, doubles. Nope, that one's on brush, but that one's not. That's a good crappie right there. All right, crappie and a bunch of slop. Hey, welcome back everybody. Lake Bistineau today. Glad to have you along. That's a good keeper right there. That one would, here, let me get that out of your eye, buddy. All right, just a good little fatty right there. Back he goes though. He gets his unconditional release today. Let's talk a little bit about what the crappie are gonna be doing here for the next 30 to 60 days. You know, we're headed towards those hot weather months where you're gonna have crappie that are gonna move onto brush piles and docks. They're gonna move onto that structure and pretty deep, anywhere from 15 to 30 feet deep. Between now and that hot weather, you've got fish that are in transition, which is exactly what we're catching today. You've got these fish that are moving from their spawning territory, shallow, and they're moving towards deeper water. But the cool thing about it is, and I learned this from Chris Lindenberg, who owns the Bobby Garland Bait Company, is that there are more fish in open water than there are around the structure most of the time, more crappie. Most people don't fish for them and most people don't realize that. Look on your graph, try to find where the bait is, put your bait at that same level and you can get bit in open water during the transition time, after the spawn but before the hot weather. They're going to docks and brush, but not yet. Here's more fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is once again brought to you by Ulrich Cabins, a family-owned Texas-based business that stands ready to build your dream cabin, whether it's a fishing lodge by the lake, a hunting retreat on your property, or just a place for the family to kick back, relax, dream, and enjoy. Check out mytexascabin.com for Lone Star Lakes only viewer discounts. Now this week we're going to head to the west, where Lake Allen Henry has just kicked out a Sherrilunker not too long ago. That's a bass over 13 pounds in Texas. And you're going to find that those West Texas lakes are just beginning to spawn, whereas some of the East Texas lakes have been spawning for quite a while. Now on Allen Henry, I'd go up the creeks about 2/3 of the way back and start fishing towards the back of the creeks, looking for the warmest water I could find. Throw your lizards, throw your crawfish, and of course your traps and Senkos. Now a little bit further south, on O.H. Ivy, the water level has come back up just a bit. It's not as high as they'd like it, and you're going to find yourself in the same kind of pattern there, except you'll want to fish those timbered channels with some of those same baits, and maybe even consider fishing a little bit deeper with a Carolina rig and a ring fry in chartreuse pepper, either red shad or black blue, to catch those O.H. Ivy bass. That's been this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Ulrich Cabins. Check out mytexascabin.com for your viewer discounts. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast. Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, Texas anglers continue to contend with strong winds. Many are taking to kayaks that provide a lower profile and allow access to shallow, muddy-backed lakes and marshes. Others continue to wade fish these same areas and have found success early and late when the winds are lighter. Get a chart, study the vast amount of water that can be accessed by driving up, getting out, and wade fishing. With winds persist, sometimes anglers will need to fish wind-blown shorelines and spoil islands. Dealing with the winds may also mean switching from bait casting reels to spinning tackle. One final word of caution when boating in rough, windy conditions. Always wear a PFD, and the operator should also have a kill switch attached at all times. Both are safety insurance that can save your life or the life of a fishing buddy. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
There's one. There's one down in that green stuff. Oh, good one, good one. Come up out of that stuff. All right. Well, we finally figured some out today. Got some crappie going. Not big, but they're keepers. And a lot of fun. And some Louisiana sockeye for you right there. Well, we've talked quite a bit about where to find them, what you can do this time of the year. If you'd like to make a trip to Bistineau here, a good place to put in is Port of Bistineau, kind of puts you in about the mid-lake area and right on the main channel. Talked about some of the cautions that you need to take if you're coming here. Make sure that you have good guidance, and you can have you a bunch of those right there and have them for dinner. Got a little something working right there. Let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we're going to be back to kind of wrap it all up for you and give you a little more information. And it'll be time for our Coast to Catch of the Week winner, little gear info, little tech talk, and a lot more. Stay with us. We're coming right back to Lake Bistineau, Louisiana.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday night at 10:30, or catch the repeat airing Saturday morning at 8. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button. And see lots of our how-to and product videos by selecting the how-to button. Join our online fishing community. Just click the like button on our Facebook page for access to daily posts with lots of fishing news, videos, and frequent giveaways. And stay up to date with all the latest fishing information and photos by following our Twitter feed. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Motor Guide, because accuracy matters. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. And Excite Technologies, powering the world forward.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro question. This week, Kelly asks, do you always fish a jig with a weed guard, even if there's very little cover in the area? We found the 2016 Bassmaster Classic champion Edwin Evers for the answer.
The question is, fishing a jig, always fish it with a weed guard, even if you're in an area that doesn't have any cover. If I'm fishing a jig, it's gonna have a weed guard, because when I'm fishing a jig, I'm usually fishing it around cover. If I'm in open water, then I'm gonna have like an open hook on a swim bait or something a little bit different. But that jig, it's always got a weed guard on it.
Thanks, Edwin. If you have a question for one of the anglers, visit our website, follow the Ask the Pro link on the right side of the page, and send it in. Now, one lucky viewer wins a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Each and every week on our show, someone wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses, and it's time for this week's winner. He is Julio Reyes of Laredo, Texas, showing an 8-pound, 2-ounce largemouth bass he caught at Lake Casablanca, Texas. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, Click on the Coast to Catch of the Week area on the right side of the homepage and follow the instructions to send us your photo. You could be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame styles and lens styles at their website. Just go back to our homepage, click on the Costa logo, and you'll see all of the 580 polycarbonate and glass lenses and all of the colors and styles of frames that Costa offers, including the one I was wearing here at Bistineau this week called Prop. As far as the gear goes for catching the crappie here at Lake Bistineau, it was a pretty simple setup today. This is the Lew's Wally Marshall Pro Series Ultralight Crappie Rod. It's the perfect rod for doing what we did today. Had it spooled up with 8-pound test fluorocarbon line, and as far as the bait goes, we were using a 3/16 ounce Bobby Garland Mo Glow jig head tipped with a Bobby Garland Slab Slayer body, and a black body with a chartreuse tail in this dark water seemed to work the best. And I'd like to mention one other thing during our gear segment. This is really critical. If you're going to come to Lake Bistineau or any of the lakes that have all these invasive weed species, it is critical that you clean this stuff off your trailer before you leave the lake. The last thing we need is to be transferring this stuff around to lakes that don't already have it. This is bad stuff. It shouldn't be here. They're working hard to get rid of it. So get all this goopy stuff off your trailer, every bit of it. Drain your live well, rinse it out, get rid of all of this stuff so that it does not get transferred to another lake. Your key word for this week is distraction. It's everywhere in our culture. Text messages buzzing and phones ringing and Facebook and Twitter going off, and can't even have a quiet dinner at a restaurant without that television blaring in the background. The successful people in our culture find a way to isolate and block. They isolate themselves from the distractions and block all that noise and clutter away. It is terribly disrespectful to be with someone but staring off at a television or looking down at that phone. It is highly important in our culture with all these distractions for you and I to be where we are and with the person we're with, not mentally and emotionally somewhere else. I hope you enjoyed our crappie fishing trip today to Lake Bistineau, south of Shreveport, Louisiana. A couple of things to mention before we get out of here. First of all, we've got a brand new search tool on the archive page of our website. We've got hundreds and hundreds of product and how-to videos and all of our past episodes that you can watch, and you can easily search through all those videos by typing in a search term into this box, and it'll bring up all the videos under that subject. And many weeks right after our Thursday airing, we go live on our Facebook page. So go to our page, Fox Sports Outdoors on Facebook, and see if we're going live after this episode. If not, we do it on many weeks. Be sure and keep up with us, and be sure to like our page for lots of information, videos, photos, and fishing news that we don't have time for here on the television show. From Louisiana until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.